Hi there, Andrew Ambrosius again for another episode of The Art of Business English. Now I'm here in my Airbnb in downtown London. Well, downtown London. I'm actually south of the river in Vauxhall. So today I'm going to be recording episode 74 for you here in London. Now I'm in a share flat I'm in the flat with my children. So if you do hear any screaming in the background, that's just them. I don't have my studio equipment, so hopefully the sound quality on this podcast is going to be okay. And I've been thinking what I can do for you guys this week, so I thought I'd give you some tips on traveling to London, since it's probably going to be the most useful as I'm here now. If you are coming to London on business or on holiday soon, then hopefully the tips I've got for you today will be very helpful. So I've got a bunch of ideas, but I haven't actually got any specific order to give them to you. I've just thrown some ideas down on a Trello board. And so basically we're going to be starting with transport, because that's going to be super important for you guys. Now, before I continue though, and before I start with transport, just one thing before I forget. Don't overpack for London, because literally you can buy everything here, okay? There is just everything you could ever imagine on every corner. Okay, so don't think, oh, should we take this or should we take that? Just pack light, because you're going to buy lots of clothes, you're going to buy lots of stuff, and you're going to need some space in your suitcase on the way back. Just be ready for the prices though, okay? They're a little bit more expensive than you're probably used to back at home. All right, so let's kick things off and start looking at the transportation network on central London. Basically, many people get a bit nervous taking transport in London, but if you're comfortable, then it's actually quite easy. So my first piece of advice is to take the buses. The buses are incredible, and really it's not that difficult to understand how the buses work. Okay, so you can become a transport ninja in London quite quickly if you combine the buses with the tube. And if you're a bit desperate, then you can always grab an Uber taxi, because there's loads of those. But I haven't taken one yet because I haven't needed to. And once you get the buses and the train sorted, or the tube sorted, you can really move about quite easily. So now on all public transport in London, they accept contactless credit cards. Okay, so what's the good thing about contactless credit cards? Well, you just grab your credit card, stick it in your pocket. It needs to be one of those contactless ones that you can just stick over a machine, and it detects the card and takes the payment. And basically what Transport of London does is you just tag on and tag off whenever you go through the barrier at the metro, or whenever you get on the bus. And what Transport for London does is they just calculate it for you, so you don't even need to think about it. And when it reaches the maximum amount for a day travel card, which I think is about £7, it just basically charges you £7, and then if you go over and if you go over £7, it doesn't. It just stops at 7. Okay, so basically that is my advice. Use your contactless credit card wherever you go. Now, another good thing about that is that your kids will never pay. Basically, you don't actually have to buy your kids a ticket. What you do is just hop on the bus, and the parents, or the mother or the father, tag on. For example, I've got 2 kids, so I just tag on. My wife tags on, and the kids just hop on with us. No one ever says anything. And when you're going through to get onto the metro or the underground, there are like the barriers that you go through for individuals, but then there's also the barriers for people who either have luggage, or people who have prams, or people who are in a wheelchair. And those barriers are wider. And if you go through those barriers with your kids, one person just tags on with the contactless credit card, and then you both walk through, both the kid, or the child, and the adult. So it's a great way to get around. Only paying for adults, and you never pay for your kids. And people pretty much, I've never had anyone say anything to me about it. So there's no problems there. And in most cases, even the Transport for London people are standing right there, so they just let you go through. Another thing is, don't be afraid of making mistakes. Just jump on the bus, jump on the metro, because if you get on the wrong one, you just get off at the next stop, and then you go back. And the same with the buses. If you're not sure which way to go, but you know the general direction, like north, south, east, or west, you just hop on a bus, and as soon as the bus turns off the street that you wanted to go down, you just get off at the next stop, walk back up to the street, and then take the next bus along that route. Okay, it's super easy. Another thing about the bus maps is that there's bus maps at every stop and all the bus stations. And literally, all you need to do is work out the last stop. So if you know that, I want to go to this bus stop, for example. I want to go to Vauxhall Station, okay? But the last stop that this bus goes to is Wandsworth. And then all you need to do is look at the last stop, and it will tell you the exact same bus stop, like A, B, C, D, or G, or whatever, the exact bus stop that you need to be waiting at the bus station. And whenever you walk up to a bus stop in the street, they also have the time that the bus is due, and they also have the route that the bus is going to take. So you literally, it's all there laid out for you. You just need to take your time to have a look at it, and then from there you pretty much can get around quite easily. So pretty much, I've been getting off one bus, walking across the platform, and just jumping straight on another bus. I literally have not had to wait more than about 5 minutes at any given stop. So once you learn the buses and you tie that in with the tube, you really can get around quite easily. There's also the website, the Transport for London website, which has a journey planner on it that can also help you. Okay, so with the journey planner, you just put in your current destination and where you want to go and the ways you want to get there, and they'll basically tell you how to do it. And when you're in the tube, look at the map. It's really not that difficult. The map basically, if it's the top of the map is north, the bottom of the map is now south, and east and west. Okay, so literally the tube map is orientated in the direction that you'll see the sign. So it'll say northbound train to the Northern Line, northbound. So basically, if it's up at the top of the map, you know that that's the direction that the tube is going in. So it's pretty easy. Another thing to note is that some of the big stations where you've got quite a few lines connecting, there can be quite a long walk underground. So sometimes, you might think, oh yeah, we'll change there, and it could be quite a long walk. So just be careful that you don't get stuck walking from one side of a tube station to another. Especially, I think in the north, on the Northern Line at St Pancras Station, there's some really long walks underground. What else is another top tip? Just ask people as well. People in London are super friendly. The bus drivers are really helpful. I mean, anyone that you ask, they'll give you some. I'll give you some advice straight away. The only problem is that with some of their accents, maybe you'll struggle to understand them. So, and sometimes they really don't show much compassion and speak slowly. So, but do your best. But just ask people. They're super super friendly. So don't be scared. Don't be scared to ask people for some advice. Now, if you do want to check out some cool stuff, let's move on to so travel. You can use Google Maps if you've got your phone will work perfectly well here, especially now if you're in Europe, obviously your phone will work as if you were back at your home country. So if you've got your SIM card in, then you can use the minutes and the data from your home country. If you're coming from another country, it's probably best to buy a prepaid SIM card with some data on it, because then you'll be able to access all the services. So you'll be able to use the Transport for London app, you'll be able to use Google Maps, you'll be able to use TripAdvisor, which is all essential. And you can use Lebara. I think that's the most popular and the cheapest for a prepaid SIM. So I definitely recommend buying a prepaid SIM if you're going to be in London for a few days, because it will work out a lot cheaper. Then what else? So you definitely be needing to use Google Maps. You definitely need to use Uber if you want to get around on Uber. And you'll definitely need to be using TripAdvisor. I use TripAdvisor a lot, and I'll get onto that in a minute why. Now, if you want to visit the Shard is this really iconic tall building. It's the tallest building in Western Europe, 72 floors, I think. And basically, that is quite a popular tourist attraction at the moment. However, it's quite expensive. I think it was about £80 for a family of four to go up to the Shard. So if you do want to avoid that cost, but you'd like to go to the Shard and you'd like to see some of the views, then there is the Shangri-La Hotel, which is actually in the Shard building. And if you just walk in through reception and take the elevator up to the 33rd floor, there is the concierge there, and you walk out of the elevator, turn right, and then there is the Shangri-La bar there. So you can just go in there, buy a drink, and get beautiful views of the city from the 33rd floor. Okay, so you can have a drink and save yourself £80 going up to the 72nd floor. Okay, so that's an option if you don't want to pay. Another thing that you can do is, if you're really struggling for restaurants, which is common, and there's so many restaurants in London, I've been using TripAdvisor to find restaurants all over the city, and I found some real gems there. Basically, just walk around, just look for restaurants near me, and it just lists off all the restaurants, how far away they are, what type of food they serve, and the price and the distance from you. So basically, I've been doing that, and I found some real gems. I'm going to tell you a couple of them in a minute. What you should also do is you should eat at least once in an English pub, and if possible, watch a football match. Okay, I went last night to watch the Champions League quarterfinals between Manchester United and Barca. That was a lot of fun. Caught up with some friends, had a few pints, had pub food. And some of the pub food can be really good. Some of it's a bit rubbish, but no, it's a good experience in there with all the English. They love their football as well. So definitely recommend you going to a pub. There's lots of those around, so don't worry, you'll be able to find many of those. Now, another thing, when you want to go to the theatre or anywhere, you should book all of your attraction tickets online beforehand, because most places encourage you to book online, and they give you a discount. So most places you'll get about a 15 or 20% discount if you reserve your tickets online. It's pretty easy because they just send them to you with the code or with an email. So it's much better just to be a bit organised. Buy your tickets beforehand online, and you'll save a bit of money. Now, we went to the Tower of London yesterday. Piece of advice there: go early, because it's just so many people. Now, when you are in the Tower of London, you may think to yourself, wow, that line to go and see the Crown Jewels is very long. But if the line starts down near the coffee shop, then that is a short line. Okay, I thought, wow, that's a long line. But when I was in the line, it just got huge, and it snaked all the way around the White Tower. So you need to be careful and get there early, otherwise you'll be waiting in line for a long time. But yeah, it's quite impressive, the Tower of London, so it's worth a visit if you are into that type of thing. And now, another thing you should do is you definitely should go to the Camden Market on Sunday, which is on the Northern Line. So you can take the Northern Line from the city up to the Camden Market. The best time to go is on a Sunday. And there are basically loads of things to see there. It's quite a iconic place to go. Lots of people, lots of street food, so you can order lots of street food. If you're not interested in eating street food, then I recommend two places that you go to. You've got Poppy's Fish and Chips, which is at number 30 Hallway Crescent. Okay, now Poppy's is quite iconic, it's quite famous, it's quite popular, so you definitely need to reserve if you want to go there. Okay, it's for your typical classic fish and chips in London. Now, we went there last year, but this year we tried a place called Andy's Greek Taverna. Now, Andy's Greek Taverna was fantastic because it was actually like a family-run business, and they're all Greeks, and the food was sensational. And that's down on 23 Pratt Street. Okay, it's not far; it's about 5 to 7 minute walk from the Camden station. So I recommend Andy's because it's really family, really authentic food, good quality, and it was not expensive. Okay, and now Another iconic place that you should visit is called Gordon's Wine Bar. Now, Gordon's Wine Bar is down uh, at Embankment Station, okay, which is on the Circle Line or District Line, and you basically go down. It's underground, and it's really, really quite special. It's a bit hard to describe, really. It's like going into a cave. It's really old. It's where Rudyard Kipling wrote a lot of his iconic work. Okay, so definitely recommend Gordon's Wine Bar just for something special. It's tucked away under the street, just on the right as you come out of Embankment Station. So check out that. Now, we also went to Harrods just because, you've got to go to Harrods when you're in London. It is incredibly expensive. Everything is completely overpriced. So be ready for that. But if you go, what's interesting is if you go there around 5 p.m., you will see a lot of wealthy people leaving, and that a lot of them getting picked up by their chauffeurs. And some of the cars that you'll see are just like incredible. I mean, there is everything like Ferraris, Porsche, like expensive Range Rovers, Rolls Royce, Bentleys. So it's quite fun to see that. Now, Harrods was sold to Qatar, I believe. So you'll see a lot of rich Arabs there. It's amazing. And the place is huge as well. So you can just get lost in there for hours. Now, we didn't want to eat there because it's just full of people and really overpriced. So I would recommend two places if you like. If you want to eat, there's a really great Italian place. Again, this is a really authentic place because the owners literally, we walked in there and they just spoke to us in Italian. Luckily, my wife speaks Italian. It's called Sale e Pepe, okay, and that's not far from Harrods, Sale e Pepe, and you can go to www.saleepepe.co.uk to check out the place. That was great. It was pretty reasonably priced. They had a menu there for like, I think £26 for 3 courses, which was nice. And if you would like to try something a bit more from Asia, then there's a really amazing Thai. It's called Patara Thai, and that's at number 9 Beauchamp Place in Knightsbridge. And that Thai place has got a super great rating. So if you do like Thai, I'd also recommend that. And it's not very expensive either. So you've got, the Italian option or the Thai option. I personally love my Thai, and Patara is amazing. Okay, so that's a place that you can eat once you've had a look around Harrods and have decided that you want to get out and have a nice lunch. Now, we're talking about accommodation. Like central London is mega expensive, so it's not that difficult to stay in Zone 2. So if you just stay right on the edge or just out of Zone 1, then or you're in Zone 2, it's quite. I mean, once you understand the buses or you're 1 or 2 stops on the metro to the centre, it can be a lot cheaper just to stay in Zone 2, so just outside of central London. So I definitely recommend that as well. Last year I stayed in Paddington. I used to live in North London when I was living in London. But now we're in Vauxhall, which is south of the river. And that's also been really good. It's been super easy to get over the bridge, over the Vauxhall Bridge to Victoria Station. Okay, we're going to go there today, actually. We're going to the Apollo Theatre. So, definitely recommend it if, it's not that important to stay in central London. And it's also a bit quieter. I mean, I've really noticed that being out here just south of the river, it's a lot quieter than last year. We were in Paddington. There was lots of sirens and lots of people and lots of traffic. So, staying in Zone 2 can be a bit better as well. A bit cheaper and a bit quieter. Okay, now, sometimes people forget that about rush hour. They're on holiday and they forget about the traffic and they forget about the number of people. People start to finish work in London around 4 o'clock. But by 5 o'clock, it's crazy. Literally, if you are on Oxford Street at 5 o'clock and you're trying to get the tube, it's impossible. It is rammed with people. So, Oxford Street, Bond Street, anywhere, like these places in central London are a nightmare. So be careful, don't get caught trying to leave central London on the metro or the buses at 5 o'clock, especially around Oxford Street. It's impossible. Okay, so always be aware of that, because sometimes, you've been walking around all day, you're tired, the kids are getting a bit, antsy, and you want to go home, and it's just like, oh my God, we can't, like you literally can't move. It's just rammed with people. Okay, so just be careful of peak hour, because that can ruin your afternoon pretty quickly. Go to the theatre at least once. You definitely should go check out the theatre. Very expensive. You need to be careful. So what I recommend doing with theatre tickets is just, trying to not necessarily buy them off the theatre website. What the theatre does is they have they issue tickets to a lot of companies. So a lot of companies have got they resell tickets on, and you can get some good deals. So make sure you cross-check lots of different websites and don't buy the first ones that you see. You should always check first as well, because if you buy tickets from a vendor in the street, maybe they're going to try and scam you. Not that they're going to, you get the tickets to go into the theatre, but you'll probably get overcharged. So always be aware of the tickets and the seating, and make sure that you don't pay the first price you see. And I mean, the funny thing about London is never look in the mirror. You're always going to feel something about London that makes you just feel inferior, because there's just so much money here. Everything revolves around money. It's like people just are in a rat race in London, and it's just crazy. So if you live in a small city or a small village, and in your village or your city, you think of yourself as quite well off or middle class, then you come to London and that just makes you feel terrible, because literally there is just like flats being built everywhere, expensive cars everywhere, people running around everywhere, spending money like you would not believe it. It's just so expensive here. So, I mean, in London, you should never compare yourself to anyone or anything. Otherwise, it's just going to make you feel depressed. But in saying that, it's a really lovely experience. So you definitely have to just take it for what it is. So yeah, it's a lovely experience, but you realise that when you're in London, you'll never be rich, because there's just an insane number of rich people here. And let me finish up this episode with a few funny quotes, which I like. This one's by Stephen Fry. The English language is like London, proudly barbaric yet deeply civilized, too common yet royal, vulgar yet processional, sacred yet profane. And one of my favourites as well, this is another one by William Shenton. William Shenstone. And it says, nothing is certain in London but expense, which I find quite funny because it's very true. So that's my advice for you guys. If you want to come to London, be ready with everything, your travel card, your contactless card. Be ready to spend lots of money on ridiculous amounts of money on normal things that maybe back home would cost you maybe 3 times less. Be patient with the kids because they're going to get tired and lots of walking. I mean, on average, I've been doing about 12 to 15 kilometers a day walking, and that's including all the time taken on the buses. So you do walk a lot, okay? And enjoy. It's a great place. It's magical. There's lots to see. There's never a dull moment in London. And talk to as many people as possible. There are so many people, so many different cultures here. It's just a big mixed pot of people, and people are generally pretty nice. Well, unless you're, in downtown Oxford Street at 5 o'clock and people are running up and down the pavement in a hurry to get wherever it is that they want to go. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my tips for your next trip to London. And if you do have any other tips or you want to ask me something about London, then please feel free. Send me an email or comment on this post. It'd be great to hear from you guys. And I'll see you all back next week in Spain, back in Barcelona for another episode of The Art of Business English. And hope you all have a great Easter weekend. Take care. Bye for now.